Hello everyone, welcome to this message. So as our first card today, we have the Singer of Connection. Then we have the Fairy Godmother and the Friends as our following cards. And as the overall energy, we get Power, and it says learning from others and instructions. So this means all of these cards are connected to personal memories. So for me, I associate the bell pepper with this because of a that I learned how to I learned through a video to how to cut bell peppers, and I'm getting some kind of I got a brief glimpse of something that God was trying to tell me just now, and it was like a brief reference of like yesterday that I wanted to look something up, but I'm not quite sure what that was exactly. But I was talking to God about it, and like, so there is a reference to that. So let's see. What did I want to look up and to learn? Yes, I was talking to God about how I should change the like I have all these papers, right? And normally this would have become a like a notepad, but it was part of a whole set, right? But since that wasn't arriving, I was talking to God about like, oh, how should I change this? What else could this be? And then the only thing that I could think of if it would be a standalone item was to turn it into a personal journal book, which would be amazing as well. But I was like, I would have to look up how exactly I should. How do you bookbind like that? Like I was already planning on making this notebook myself from scratch, but I wasn't really planning on literally turning it into something that has like a cover and like a hardcover and everything. So how on earth am I going to do that? So I was thinking about looking that up on the internet and seeing if that would even be possible because it sounds quite the skill and quite difficult to do. But it would be the only thing that I could be making of this. So that I can think of like that would still make turn it into a valuable standalone item. So this I think that this is what God is referring to because I got like a quick glimpse of like that conversation and that I was talking about that, looking that up on YouTube. So and this is that video, right? So like when you look, so this card talks about things you look up on the internet in order to learn how to do something. So it directly relates to that conversation from yesterday. And you have the Singer of Connection, which looks very much like bookbinding in a way, right? It looks a little bit like it. So that's interesting. So maybe God wants to talk about that specifically towards me, and there will likely also be some kind of thing that God is wanting to talk about towards you as well. So it could be talking about this could be a metaphor for other people in terms of like if you were thinking about gaining a skill or like looking something up how to do something, then this would be a confirmation of that, I guess. Like to be like, yes, go and learn that skill, go and look that up on the internet, through videos, perhaps like learning from other people, because that would be a good idea, I guess. That would be progress. So you could see it as a creative reference of work with what you've got and like whatever circumstances you are in, work with the circumstances you are in, and you can do this. So it could also be a metaphor for that. Like you can do whatever you can do this. It could be what God is trying to tell you. Like you can do this. Like you are um, even if you are in these kinds of circumstances and it's quite difficult to be still be creative in these circumstances, so you can do this. So it could be a connection to that as well. So see how it would pertain to your life. But in my personal case, this would be God talking about a conversation that God and I had yesterday. So you could even see it as a creative reference of God actually heard what you were saying, and um, God heard that conversation. So you could see it as that as well in terms of a metaphor. So there are many ways that you could be interpreting that this comes up. But let's just see. So, but I'm just going to go with my own, like what I'm, because it is a direct reference to that, right? So it must be relevant. So let's see. So, like, God is talking about that bookbinding process. Like, just look it up. Or just wants to talk about this conversation that we had, and doesn't necessarily have to mean like go ahead with it. So it will depend on the other cards. But there is most definitely a correlation to, like, I heard that conversation from yesterday, and I would like to elaborate on that. So let's see. And then you have the fairy godmother, which is like she exchanges the earthly with the spiritual, right? So, and there was it has multiple references to me, because yesterday it was definitely about like the spirit overpowering the physical body, and it's the reactions that are happening within the physical body. So so to exchange mm, the power of the body, you could say, with the power of the spirit. So it also talks about that as well. And I'd also see, like, at first glance, I actually thought that this was talking about what gluten does to my body, because of these kinds of images, which makes me think about the state that I was in the morning. So it seems to be like a visual representation of what happened shortly before I regained control from by the spirit over my bodily reactions, right? So because I'm like going through a cytokine storm currently still. I think it's going to be the last day, but still. I'm not affected that much by it, but when I'm affected, I am affected by it. So it could be talking about that as well, but we'll have to see, because this was like my first glance interpretation. But it seems to be talking about something else, as you can see. So this conversation that we had yesterday, and exchanging the something earthly with something spiritual. So you could also see it as something very that you could turn it into a pearl. So there could be something that you have currently that is of low value, it could become something of higher value. So it could be God talking about that, like turn something that is currently low value into something higher value. So it could be confirmation of that if you have been talking to God about it, like, yes, do this, turn this into a higher product, into a better product, turn this into something that is more that is of a higher quality, right? So let's see. And then you have the friends card that comes after that. And this is like your friends in higher places. So this could be God, the angels, anything that is in the energetic realm that is seeking to uplift you. It is, I literally see it as your friends in higher places, in the sense like in the unseen realms. Your friends that you have there, and they are seeking to up level you. So I do think and also I see it a little bit like the coloring as well. Like the coloring is being uplifted, right? So there is something that maybe God is confirming, like, at least to me, God is confirming that, but it will also speak to your circumstances somehow. Like to me, God is referring to, you can actually make this product, like see the circumstances positive, and like turn this into a better product. You can turn this into a better product, into something that is more high value than it is currently. So by, I guess, changing the entire design, the entire outlook upon it, And I wonder why power was also with this. Power. Maybe it is because there's a butterfly here. You have the power to transform this. So it could be that God is saying like that you have the power to transform the situation, the whatever you are creating, for example, or the situation you are in. You have the power to transform this into something that will even be of higher value. So you are capable of doing this, and you have it will be an up leveling if you were to do this. So in my case, this would be God saying like learn that skill because it's going to be a better you can uplift, you can create this, you can turn this into the next level, you can make it even better, right? Even if you are in circumstances that are require of you to be quite creative, you can do this. You have the power within you to change these circumstances. So that's what this is talking about. And then you have Tobiah of the Waters. She's looking at her reality usually. I see her as crying reality. So she is looking at reality, her reality. And there is something about her reality being scrambled up. I just think like when she's looking at her reality, she understands that she will have to look at things from an entirely different perspective. Because that's kind of also what this card could refer to. Like you have to look at it from a different lens, right? From a different outlook. So I do think that that you are realizing, like Tobiah of the Water is Tobiah of the Waters is looking at her reality and is realizing that this will require an entirely different outlook in order for this to work. And you have the Singer of Initiation, so it's kind of like, yeah, that it is quite this could be a moment of like putting your hands on the table, like, oh, how on earth am I going to be doing this, right? But that God wants to say, like, you can pull this off. You can actually do this. So go for it. So this is fascinating. I wasn't even looking at the other side, but it says own your power. Every storm brings a fresh new beginning, and I'm like going through a cytokine storm, so it's kind of interesting. Every storm creates a fresh brings a fresh new beginning. So after this is over, there will be a fresh new beginning, and there's something about own your power. So I do think you may want to use this time that you're in as whatever the storm may be for you, right? Like whatever circumstances you're in currently, you could create a fresh new beginning for yourself. So it could be God saying like create a fresh new beginning for yourself as you are in the situation. And do own your power. Do know that the spirit is stronger than the body, you could say. That you can and that you can actually transform this whole situation as well. So and then let's look from the top to the bottom. So you have the Singer of Connection and the Buyer of the Waters. Let's see. Which makes me think about the folding of the hands right now because it looks like you have like this book cover, right? And she is doing this. So there is something about that your reality is covered, perhaps. Because you see it like that. Your reality may be covered, which means that you are covered by God, that you will be protected. You are covered. And then you have the fairy godmother and the topsy turvets card. So as you are exchanging the body with the spirit, as you're becoming more spirit than body, you could say, perhaps, right? Or as you are redesigning something, because it could most definitely be that, like turning something into a higher value, whatever it is. Like you can turn it into something that is of higher value, but you have to completely re-look at it, redesign it, right? So I do think that that there is a possibility for you to turn this into something that is even higher value by redesigning it, by taking another look at it. Um, and then you have the Friends cards and the Singer of Initiation. So it may suck a little bit, you could say, but maybe it's something that you are not really looking forward to doing, but you have your angels helping you out, you have God helping you out, and everything else that is in the energetic realm that you see as supportive of you. And like you you are not alone pretty much. You will be aided, you'll be helped, you'll be assisted in this process. So maybe you will find the right video to um, whatever it may be. Like you will be able to find the right way of going about things. You'll be aided as it relates to that. And then you have Aurel the parrot as the underlying energy. So this usually talks about like stating something to the universe, making something very clear. And it says you have to stress, but I think in this case it's more like expressing. Maybe you have been expressing the stress, the energy of others. So because groceries usually talk to me about like when you're in the supermarket, you I could even talk about the market in and of itself that I'm going to, but I just see. But there's something here about like when I go to a supermarket, like nowadays I'm not really having that problem, but like in the past, like I would go into a supermarket and I would feel all of the everything that was going on with people, you could say, and it was quite overwhelming. So and it was quite overwhelming, and it made it very hard for me um to still do the grocery shopping, right? To have that mental clarity to do the grocery shopping. So let's see. So maybe there is a situation, we see it as a metaphor. It could be a situation where it is quite hard for for you to like rise above this and have mental clarity. As in maybe something that is quite overwhelming for you, for example. So it could be God talking about that there is something that is quite overwhelming for you, and that it may be quite hard to rise above that and find clarity, you could say. And that it's like something that's outside of your control, maybe as well. And then you have clearing, and I do think like originally it was like this: clear the clutter, when in doubt, throw it out. So maybe there's something that you need to throw out of. You may want to take the risk, because I also got it here like risk. So you may want to take the risk. You may want to throw something out. So it means like you may want to redesign something, reapproach something. You can make this into a better situation. You can turn this into something that will be more, that will be of higher value, but you will have to take the risk to redesign it, you could say. You will have to dare to reapproach something, I think. think that that's what this is talking about, and it may be quite overwhelming to find clarity in the situation, but the clarity may be that God wants to say, like, there may be things that you need to eliminate and redesign, because you can turn it into something that will be of higher value. So let's just see. And then you have, or maybe it could also be a message of that you need to, it's very important that you find clarity, that you focus. So I guess like the Bible will start really going into some kind of a direction. Let's see. And then you have the master maker, this like Satan seeking to say what kind of a path you will be taking. And you have vacation. So maybe, which is interesting because I'm currently working on the Apple collection as well. So that's kind of fascinating. So maybe it could also talk about you stating what is going to happen. So it could also talk about that you actually need to focus. That you need to focus. And maybe in my case, this would be like focus on the Apple collection that I'm working on currently. And then it says here, take a risk. You have the power within you to move mountains. So it could be God saying, like, you just get back to work and, like, don't take a vacation. Although it says vacation underneath. Maybe Satan would like you to take a vacation. But God wants to say, like, you actually have the power within you to move mountains. And you can move this mountain. It's kind of like you can speak to the mountain, right? So you have the power to move this mountain that you are facing. And you may need to, just like I need to focus on like the Apple collection. It could be like something that you were creating. You need to focus on that and start working on that further, whatever that may be. But it could also be something about, maybe as it relates to something else, you may need to take a risk. You may need to redesign that other thing, whatever that may be. Reapproach that other thing. So, and you can make this work, you could say. So, let's get the Bible out. And I also think what this could creatively mean for other people. Maybe something like you need to get, even if it's difficult, you need to get back into that situation and get back at it, whatever that may be. Even if it's difficult, like push yourself and get back at it. So let's see. This is Isaiah 18 verse 2. It's where what it says at the top here. So let's see. Yeah, I'm being drawn to I think it's Isaiah 14 verse 24. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be, and as I have purposed, so it will happen. That's interesting. I will crush the Assyrian in my land, on my mountains I will trample him down. Interesting. His yoke will be taken from my people, and his burden removed from their shoulders. This is the plan determined for the whole world. This is the hand stretched out over all nations. For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? Interesting. Okay, let's see. So this gives a completely different dimension. Because it says here, the Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be. And as I have purposed, so it will happen. So maybe God wants to say, like, stand up to Satan, because on my mountains I will trample him down, right? And it says here, you have the power within you to move mountains. So maybe you need to kick Satan out of this whole equation and be like, I have planned something, and as I have planned it, so shall it be, right? So if you have given something a purpose, if you had an original plan, stick to the plan. That's what this means. Stick to the plan. And as you have purposed it, so it will happen. So it's kind of what God wants to say is like be relentless about this, similar to the message from yesterday. Be relentless about this. And if you had envisioned something, you go for that vision, make it happen. Because surely as I have planned it, so it will be, and as I have purposed it, so it will happen. But there's also something here about something that could be redesigned. There's on the one hand, it's like get back to it. So in my case, like get back to the Apple collection, just keep working and like don't take a vacation, even if it would make sense to take a vacation right now, because you have the power within you to move mountains. So you don't have to relax, you don't have to back down. You can just keep doing what you were doing and say to Satan, like, this is what is going to happen. As I have purposed it, so shall it be. And as I have planned it, so shall it be, right? So surely as I have planned it, so it will be, and as I have purposed it, so it will happen. So I do think you have the power within you to make this a reality nonetheless. And like Satan has no power over you because you have the power within you to move mountains. So it's kind of like Satan, get out of the way because I'm going to be doing this, right? So that's pretty much this is talking about. I will crush, it's kind of like I will crush you, Satan, on my mountains, I will trample you down. This yoke will be taken from me, and this burden shall be removed from my shoulders. This is a plan determined for the whole world. So there's something about that this is your purpose. This goes farther than just you. His hand is stretched out. Who can turn it back? So there's something about that. For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart him? So it's kind of like saying to Satan, like God has purposed it to be like this. I have purposed this, so and so it will happen. So Satan, you mountain, get out of the way. The mountain will have to move because I have purposed this, and no one shall thwart me, right? And I'm not going to be turning back. So that's what this is talking about. So Satan should not be thwarting you right now and does not have power over you, you could say, and doesn't have the power over you to have to take a vacation because you have no other choice, pretty much. So, and after this storm is over, there will be a new beginning, and you will continue and you will continue on, I guess. So let's see. But I do wonder why God is still saying that this can be up leveled. There is something that you need to stick to, but there's also something that can be up leveled. Must be something specific. Okay. It says here, I think I understand what a drifter is, Your Majesty. Go ahead now and tell me the exact habits of people by which you induce them to drift through life. Start by telling me when and how you first gain control of a person's mind. My control over the mind of a human being is obtained while the person is young. Sometimes I lay the foundation for my control of a mind before the owner of it is born, by manipulating the minds of that person's parents. Sometimes I go further back than this and prepare people for my control through what you earthbound call physical heredity, which is interesting in my case. You see, therefore, I have two approaches to the mind of a person. So in my case, like this could be Satan, like this could be like Satan giving me this gluten problem to overcome because it will have a big problem. It's like a physical hereditary issue that I need to overcome, by which he's seeking to control my mind pretty much, which is literally what happens during a cytokine storm, right? So, and I'm starting to gain control over it. So there is something about this as well. So I saw it in the cards because there's something about like exchanging the spirit, that the spirit is stronger than the body, right? So the spirit is stronger than the body, and I'm getting like these chills. So that God wants to say, like, just keep on getting at it. Like, don't let Satan thwart your plans. Like, in my case, like, you don't need to take a vacation. You have the power within you to move mountains, and the spirit can be stronger than the body, even if Satan made it very difficult for you to have control over your mind due to physical hereditary situation. You have the power to overcome it. And this is like that this morning. Really made me think about that because it's very similar. So let's see. You see, therefore, I have two approaches to the mind of a person. Yes, Your Majesty, go on and describe these two doors by which you enter and control the minds of human beings. As I have stated, I help to bring people into your world with weak brains by giving to them before birth as many as possible of the weaknesses of their ancestors. You call this principle physical heredity. After people are born, I make use of what you earthbound call environment as a means of controlling them. This is where the principle of habit enters. The mind is nothing more than the sum total of one's habits. One by one, I enter the mind and establish habits, which lead finally to my absolute domination of the mind. That is interesting, Your Majesty. Go on now and tell me of the most common habits by which you control the minds of people. Go into details. Tell me exactly how you operate in other people's minds without them detecting your presence. So you could say that me having this physical hereditary gluten issue was quite literally Satan giving me that, or at the very least, Satan using that against me, right? So let's see. Let's see. If I should read that or not. I can just, I will just read it and you can see. Who are you to talk of sportsmanship and a sense of humor? You, who by your own confession have set up a living hell on earth, where you where you punish innocent people through their fears and their ignorance. As for minding my own business, that is just what I am doing when I force you to tell how you control people through their own minds. My business, if it can be called a business, is helping to unlock doors of the self-made prisons in which men and women are confined because of the fears you have planted in their minds. Now let us come to the point and begin your dethronement. My greatest weapon over human beings consists of two secret principles by which I gain control over their minds. I will speak first of the principles of habit, to which I silently enter the minds of people. By operating through this principle, I establish the habit of, I wish I could avoid using this word, the habit of drifting. When a person begins to drift on any subject, he is headed straight towards the gates of what you earthbound call hell. Describe all the ways in which you induce people to drift. Define the word and tell us exactly what you mean by it. I can best define the word drift by saying that people who think for themselves never drift, while those who do little or no thinking for themselves are drifters. A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind. A drifter is one who would rather let me occupy his mind and do his thinking than go to the trouble of thinking for himself. A drifter is one who accepts whatever life throws in his way without making a protest or putting up a fight. A drifter is one who doesn't know what he wants from life and spends all of his time getting just that. A drifter has lots of opinions, but they are not his own. Most of them are supplied by me. A drifter is one who is too lazy mentally to use his own brain. That is the reason I can take control of people's thinking and plant my own ideas in their minds. So I do think that where we started is the part that actually wanted to be said, that first part that I shared with you. So let's see. Let's get a quote out too. 3439. Let's see. As a God made this world, I wouldn't want to be that God. Her misery would tear my heart apart. As a God who made this world, I would not want to be this God. Her misery would rip my heart out. So I do think that God wants to say something like, perhaps, that although God made this world, that whatever is happening on this earth, the misery on this earth is ripping God's heart open, pretty much. And you wouldn't want to be the God of this world, you could say. Perhaps that's kind of what it says, right? So it is heart wrecking to see what is happening here because of what Satan has done to this world, which I always felt that God didn't cause the problems of this world, but God is a solution to the problems of this world. So I do think that this was some kind of paradise and that Satan literally turned this into a living hell, this place that we are now in. So that God is a solution, like can create heaven where there is hell created by Satan, pretty much. So I'm wishing you a very beautiful day ahead, and bye bye.